So I've convinced you that you missed Yeshua's wedding, and now you might be left with the question of who you are. So let's see. Did you come to be through the teaching of Yeshua and his bride, the 12 apostles? Have you been born of water, which is baptism unto repentance to God's law, including circumcision if you are a man? Have you been born of the Spirit, which is the seed that Yeshua breathed into his bride? Do you ever feel alone, like you are the only person truly seeking God, and like being in this world is no different than being in total darkness? Do you hear and recognize the voice of someone you have never seen? When you hear that voice, do you find yourself leaping for joy in anticipation of meeting him? When you are chastised by that voice, are you thankful and compelled to do better, making you unable to live a lifestyle of sin? When you feel like giving up, what keeps you? Is it the fear of eternal torment, or is it because you know that if you give up now, there is nowhere else to go? You can't go back to who you were because the satisfaction that you found there before wouldn't do it for you now. And the cost of missing out on a goodness that you know is there but haven't seen yet is too high. Do you feel compelled to tell others about him and to correct false information about him because you know him? Is this you? In Malachi 2, God tells us his purpose for marriage in the face of Israel's fornication, which defiles that holy institution. The purpose of him making two become one is so that he may seek a godly seed. The Hebrew says the seed of God, with God being plural. But somehow, within the context of the wedding feast, this point has been largely overlooked. When speaking of the suffering servant, Isaiah asks who shall declare his generation, since he was cut off from the land of the living. We find our answer in verse 10. Yet it pleased Yahuwah to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah shall prosper in his hand. Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So if I have described you, then you are a child of Yeshua and a descendant of the Most High. If this is not you and you desire to be a part of God's family, come, there is room for you. To get started on your journey to new life, you can watch the shorts playlist and then the video linked in the cards. If you are offended by point 2 because you have not met those requirements, then you have not made Yeshua your sin offering, because Yeshua is the Passover lamb. And the Passover is what brings you under the covenant of Israel, making you a son, which goes back to point 2. I will be elaborating on this later. In the meantime, to get a better understanding of the danger this erroneous belief has put you in, watch the video on the screen and click the first playlist linked in the cards.